same way. I always check. When you have this, it's called a match. So you have 100%. It means that it was exactly translated, that segment was previously translated exactly as it is now. I came across documents where, like I said before, I had 2 pages of those 100, and there were mistakes at every, pretty much in every translation unit. So
you did it? You made the mistakes?
No, not me. I had to review it. Well, you know, I made others, but so that's why you have to do not trust the software just because.
So then you have a database now. Once you've input it, you have a database.
Yeah.
So to fix an error, you can go into your database directly?
So you don't, you don't really, to correct an error, you correct it somewhere here on the document. But the database, you never open the database itself. It's integrated in the system, you don't see it.
Oh, so like the next time you use it, you just have to choose the one that doesn't have the error.
Right.
Okay.
And you don't just have one TM, one translation memory. You have one for every project. So this one will be called TM-Gilead for that particular project. So then when you open another project with Gilead, you will choose that one. You will choose that TM that says TM Gilead because it's specifically for this project. If you have a project that you work for Bank of America, you create your terminology for your TM for Bank of America. When then you close your document, because you have to give a name, you know, same as you have to save your file under a certain name, when you create a TM, you also give it a name. And that TM will be associated with a specific file. So the TM we're creating now is going to be associated with Gilead. All right?
And you can open 2 translation databases, 2 TMs?
2 TMs?
Yeah, at the same time?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes.
Okay.
You can have several dictionaries, you can have, yes, but normally you don't need to. Because what you work on is specific enough that you know, if you do general translation, for example, well then you have a general TM, and then you create your own general terminology, and that was it. So then you'll use it for all your work. Mine is very specific. That's why. That's the only reason. But you do what you want. Yeah. So now, if you open a TM, like if I had opened a TM for Bank of America, well, it would probably give weird. It would suggest weird segments. You would find a word here and there, but that would not be appropriate for our document here, right? Because you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so this one there is no errors. Well, okay. So we move on. Same thing. Now, here's another match, but this one, it's 91. So you better look and make sure that it's where the update are on the source document. So you look around there, and the software will give you, do you see here? Will give you in green what the change is. So a previous segment was translated that only have the first part of the sentence. The company's mission is to advance the care of patients suffering from many life-threatening diseases. That's it. That's what was translated before. This new document adds around the globe, and the software found this previous translated segment, and then tells you, okay, I found it, but look, there is an added term. So you go back to your translation, and you add it. That's all. And then it will be committed to the TM, and you will now have 2 segments. You will have one with around the globe and one with that around the globe. And next time you open it, you'll have the 2 come up. That's what I mean. The more you build up, the more suggestion it'll give you for every change, edit, and everything, right? So, okay, so we're gonna add it. and then you save it, of course. It is not saved unless you press that down button, right? Unless you go on to the next segment, it's not saved. So you will retrieve it, but it's not saved. So I know you know what I mean. So say your computer crashes now, okay? Then when you open your document again, this cell here will be empty. All you got to do is go back to the previous segment and push that button again, click on that button again, and it will come up. So, okay, so it is, you retrieve pretty much anything. I told you, like a half document of, I don't know, 15,000 words that were gone out of nowhere, and, I found them all. So, okay, so now we, continuing. Okay, now you have a pretty near exact match because it's at 99. And those here are called tags. They are very important. In the free version, they look like that. In the version I use, they don't. They are very small with numbers. The same principle though. And those ensure the font formatting, they are extremely important if you translate in your translation. They're very important. If you don't have the tags, if you don't respect them, your font, all of a sudden, a word that is in italics will not be italicized anymore because the tag will not be there. So the computer doesn't know. So you have tags placed at different specific places in the cell. So here it is placed between Gilead and before the countries, before the number. So you see here, it's placed after the number. So it's here in the source language, it is placed before 87. And here it is placed before 56, which of course you also have to change 56, right? So you look at here, see here, how the computer even tells you, just in case you missed it, look, it's not 56. It's not it's not 56. It should be 87, and it corrects it for you because it's a number, right? So you understand? Okay. And what I like about those programs is when you have, for example, like I said, a quarterly report from Bank of America, you have nothing but numbers and percentages and everything. And when they're segmented that way at the sentence level, that's fantastic because you cannot make any mistake really. Well, you do, but you shouldn't make any mistake. It's way easier to see, right? Because you have all those numbers one by one, boom, boom, very well divided. Okay. So we're going to change this, and we're going to put it back to 87. Okay. And now and then we're going to change the tag as well, right? Remember how the tag, the number 2 tag is before the number, and here it's after. So we're going to move it. So to move it, in the version I use, you click on it and you just move it with your cursor. Here, you have to copy and paste. Still good, right?
Cut innovation.
Sorry. Okay, you cut it and you paste. Okay, and now your sentence is good to go. Alright, so now move on to the last segment. It's even, it's another, so we call this the 100% match. We call them exact match, and anything between 1 and 99, it's a fuzzy match, and then anything below 1, it's no match at all, and then you're on your own. They also have matches. They're called, I won't get into detail, but they're called context matches. You can set it up so that the software can determine the segment before and after to make sure that it's really contextually correct, but it's a detail you don't really care. Okay, so let's look at this. See, there was a tag here and a tag here that disappeared in the, so the previous translation had those tags. So the computer found the segment and then indicated, oh, there were tags before, but not in the new one. There are no tags there. You can, there's no tags, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you can look as well. Okay. Okay, sorry, we cannot see here, but the numbers, numbers are wrong, and the computer is, the software is indicating you where the numbers are wrong and which one to change. It's just underneath.
Use your arrow. Use the arrow, down arrow. Does it go down?
No, I think you can move the border of the...
Over there,
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
on the
right.
very, very,
Okay, I used the
Pull it up.
Sorry.
keep going.
No, it's the
Up,
upper line,
up,
yeah.
Yeah.
there you go, there you go, there you go.
I'm sorry, yeah, I didn't make the border right. Okay, so you're here, right? So it indicated you that tags were there previously, they're not there anymore. And it also shows you exactly which number you should change. So here, 833, and here it's 800. So you have to change it to 833. Same here, you have 850, and you're going to change it. You're going to change it as well to 8. Okay, and then you have 714 here, 714 3045, and you have to change the whole thing. And those are very common mistakes that sometimes are
You
not
can
correct.
click on that? Can you click on that option? No?
On the what?
Well, whatever. Sorry.
What?
Yeah,
No,
the
no.
thing that came up, can you just?
See how it pops up? The correct answer pops up? Can you click on it? Yeah, click.
Oh, that, yeah, but that's because I wrote it.
Okay, where?
Sherry did this before. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I see. Okay.
Yeah. This is what's interesting about the new LILT software. Because right now, the CAD tools are limited to what we call auto-propagation. So the computer will just go back to what you already did before. The new LILT CAD tool should be able to predict what you're going to do next. And that's a completely different approach. It's a new different, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're here. Don't forget that you have this committed, you see, to have it change color from purple to blue. You have to keep going. You have to keep pressing that arrow. Then it's committed. And now it says, do you want to start from the beginning? You said yes. And here you are. So what you do after that, you've done your translation, you checked. You can do a spell check. So you have here, you just click. So let's click. And then it's going to go through. You can also check, you can design your spell checker the way you want to not look up certain words if you want, or, I just didn't do it there, but you can. One thing I would strongly suggest, though, is that I don't use the spell checker from the CAD tool because they are accurate. I guess they are as accurate as the spell check in Word, But I use an extra one. It's called Antidote. It's specific for the French language. That I guess I don't know if it works in other languages, but you have and it's like a super spell checker. So it will. You integrate it into your software, and it will really correct and find errors that the software cannot find, So yeah. So we're here. The translation is correct. The spell check is done. So what do you do now? You have to give it back to the client in its original format. which was a Word document. And the software is going to do that for you because you cannot give that to, you know. So you have this button here. It's called PM perspective.
Where is it?
Just below. You see my arrow there?
No.
There.
Oh, I see it, okay.
You guys see that? You see that? Right? Everyone sees? Okay. So you click on that, and here you have another table. So you will have here on the right the TM you created. Okay, so it's that one there. So like you were asking before, you don't open this. You don't, you know, it's not like you can, well, you could open it and have it in a kind of a text form, you know, but you don't need to. It's integrated in the software. You have, I'm not going to go through all these different ones, but basically the one you need, you will use all the time is trans check. If you do a trans check on the document, you will evaluate consistency. It will make sure that no numbers are incorrect. It's a final check before you clean up your document. And the process of reformatting your document to the new format, to the original format, is called cleanup. So it's here, right? You see here, you click cleanup. Your TM is still here, so you know that once you clean up the document, the TM here will be automatically updated. That doesn't mean you cannot change it later. If you do another Gilead document, you can edit it again, right? And so all you do now is find your file. It's here. And as you can see, this is not a Word document anymore. It's a TXML. This is the software. This is the way the software divided the document, took that Word document. All your documents, once they are placed in that table, once it's segmented, they all are called TXML in WordFast, okay? So this is this document you're going to clean. And you will transfer it back to Word. So we're going to open it. It's here. You just click on clean up, and then it's going to give you a report. And here's your report. So normally they're very long, and you have the number. It's important you have the number of segments that were cleaned up, and also you will not be able to perform that if you have a translation unit that is empty. But if you have a cell that was translated incorrectly, whatever, they don't care. It's just going to be cleaned up. But you will not clean up a document with missing target cells. You can't. So that's a good thing. When you have large documents, you can miss a cell here and there. You know. So that's a good last check. So this is done. You can go back to your document. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look for the document. And it's here. So see, it's back to this one was the document we worked on, the TXML. And this one is the translation. And if you click on it, it converted it back exactly to the original. And that's it, here's your translation. And so Word, there is usually no problem, but for really, for websites, it's really convenient for those very different format, PageMaker, Illustrator, you need it. And hence the importance of tags as well. The tag will ensure the paragraph here clearly, you know, indicated. Well, if you had like a bold italics or anything in the document, it will be reproduced in the translation. So that's.
Sorry, the little tags that you had, the UT1 and UT2, what did it do there?
I
mean, I don't see any, you know. I don't see what
well, it was for this, basically.
Oh, for the,
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we had one, okay, and see, excellent question. Look at this. I did not space it enough. And look, it did not see this.
Yeah.
Well, that's an error from my part. I placed the tag, but I did not space it well enough, exactly as the original is. The computer is not going to do it for you because it doesn't know. You just place it where you told him to. So that's very, very important to, you know, those tags are very important, right? And also for email addresses, they will delimitate email addresses. They will do everything. Those tags are just very important to, you know, the basics. So, yeah. So what I said at the beginning, I really hope that you can maybe download the free version and play with it, because that's the only way. The way to be trained on CAT tool, no one really, unless you go to a workshop in the mainland with, every CAT tool has representatives, trainers who go to companies and train people. Or you go online and you get associated with, you know, your company will help you train, whatever. But just remember, you basically only on with the CAT tool. So you have to play around with it. And you have to know it well enough to start. And then as you translate, as you progress, you can just explore new features and, you know, read. But there is so much you can learn by yourself. You know, you can do it totally. And then once you're comfortable, you can maybe invest in a paying version, or, you know, or wait for the deal to come out in the summer or something. Okay. So any questions?
Oh, what's the other tag? There are two, UT1 and UT2.
I'm sorry?
The tag in the document, there are two, UT1
Yes.
and UT2.
And sometimes you can have up to 18.
Yeah, but then you showed us the at sign. Where's the
We didn't
other
see any
one?
result. Was that,
Yeah.
did you just add that on your own without really taking a tag? Or
No, they were.
what is UT1?
Well, those were here. That was to have the space in a paragraph.
Oh.
And if you didn't put that tag, you would not have had the space in a paragraph, and those two paragraphs would have been stuck together. So the tags can be very subtle or not. So here, well, you know, here it's subtle. You don't realize that what it did. But here you can see, right? It was there to, when you have one tag, you cannot just have one tag at the beginning of a sentence. You need two at least to delimitate. So the first tag was here, okay, for this paragraph. And then, of course, they have to put a second one for, and they chose to place it here. It's a bit complicated in the software itself, you know, but yes.
Maybe you can show them how to read HTML language, which is something that we learn to use these CAT tools, no? Because once you learn how to read
Right.
HTML, you can identify
Yes.
what each tag means and
Yeah,
how to read them, no? So yeah, maybe if you click it on Google Images so they can see it.
Yeah, well,
I don't know,
that
It's going beyond her ability
yeah,
here.
we can do that, but no, I know, yeah. There's so many other things we can talk about at a later time if,
Yeah.
you know.
But
so
his
many
point
different
is like,
features.
it's like an HTML tag.
Yeah.
Like, so if you go into a website and you look at the background, you'll see
yeah.
the HTML bold and it has these
Yeah,
Yeah, you can identify
Yeah.
italics.
A bit different though,
Yeah,
but yeah.
a bit
Similar.
different, but
It's
it's
a
the
bit
same
different,
concept.
but yeah, it's kind of, it's the same principle.
That's it.
So back to what you were saying about errors, like you have a little error there. So you'll just fix it in this version, in this final version.
Or you go back to TXML and you fix it in the TXML and you clean it again.
Okay.
So you have it saved.
Yeah.
Right. You don't have to go to the database. You just go back to
Oh, yeah,
your
yeah.
divided
Yes,
document.
you go
Okay.
back to that divided text, TXML, right? You go to where the arrow is in the segment, you place your tag properly, you save it again, you clean it again, and then it will give you another version. Right. So it's, yeah.
So just a question. So when you're doing translation in your, as a profession, do you always have to look at the final version?
I personally don't really see final. Yeah, actually, yes. No. Yeah, you're right. I do. They said. So
45.
what happened is we have well, graphic designers who will clean up everything for us. They, the TM, put it everywhere, and then they will send us the final version in the format, the original format. So you will have, I don't know if it's a website, you have to go through, the other day I did, I had to review a survey that was online. So I had to go through every question, click, you know how you click on the arrow on the right, I had to go through that to make sure, and I found 3 or 4 errors. I sent it back, indicated the errors, I sent it back, and we worked on the XML again, on that, you know, divided document, and then they cleaned it up again, sent it back to me, and this time it was fine. But it depends. Sometimes I see the final version, sometimes I don't, but you should always have a final look anyway. It depends on the needs of the client who you work for. Yeah. But yeah. But it's fun. It's very interesting. When I started translating, it was pen and paper. We had none of those Illustrator pages. We have nothing. So it's a completely different field these days, and you should take advantage of that technology because it's it's free. That one is free, and it's user friendly now. They make it pretty user friendly. It's, you know, pretty interesting. You should try. At least you don't have to, you know, buy a version. You try, play with it for a while, and then when you're comfortable, you start using it. You'll be really amazed, and then you won't go back to whatever, you know.
I love any software that makes it so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, you know, like every time. Yeah, I mean, if you've already done the work, you should benefit from having done the work.
And that's the thing, because we as translators should really work on the creative part of the translation, because that's what we should do. And if you have to work with a list of 10 pages of terminology and you have to go back and forth, it's ridiculous. If everything is integrated, it is so much easier. You save so much time and you can do a better job. But now what they do is they cut your deadline in half. So, you know, you can work faster even. So yeah, so it's just very, it's an interesting